All right, welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday with the famous Cami and Greg Goucher. Welcome,
Thanks,
guys.
Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So let's give context. I always forget, like we talk every day. Tell these guys where you're from, how long you've been with the community, and then we'll dive into your deal.
Yeah, we're from Northeast Ohio, and we've been in the community for, 28, 30 months?
30 months. Yep.
All right, that's good because I want to give them context of what has been created here. And the fact that Cami had to think about where she was from tells me we're doing this a little too early in the morning, but that's okay. All right, let's dive in here.
Sure.
What type of deal first?
This is sub 2.
Okay, and the source?
Yeah, so the source was a FSBO. Our son, who's a VA, actually called on it first.
Ooh, now I remember. Okay, this is really cool. And how old is your son? Remind everyone or tell
He
everyone.
he is 19.
19 years old. This was his first lead?
This is not his first lead, but this is his first deal.
Okay, I'm just curious. This is not entirely to do with the deal structure. How many days of calls or hours of calls had he done before this deal? I don't think I knew that answer anyway.
Yeah, so he actually has been calling for about 6 months, about 5, maybe 10 hours a week variance. He's going to school full time in college, and he's getting average about 6 to 7 leads a week.
Okay, so can you imagine this again? Maybe it could be a family cast, but can you imagine in 3 years when he gets out of college or whenever, the wealth that he can create? It's mind blowing. All right.
Yep.
How long from the time he got that lead till you went under contract? I'm curious.
30 days.
30 days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Brian said 2 to 3 weeks. You guys very similar. Okay. Now, because it's a sub 2, I want to just for the wicked smart listener viewers, because it's a sub 2, we did not do a term on the underlying mortgage, did we? But we did on this. I'm sorry. Yeah, on the underlying mortgage, we didn't do a term, but we did on the equity. Remind me.
Yes.
Yes, that
correct.
is right.
Okay, so let me define. Again, I'm making too many assumptions. The wicked smart viewers. A sub 2 means we're buying this home subject to the seller's existing debt on the property presently. We'll give you those numbers in a minute. We don't like to ever bring up a time frame on that because we're going to own the property. We're going to depreciate it. We're going to depreciate it. Words are hard. See, Kimmy, I'm following along with you here this morning. So there's no term on that. However, when there's an equity, and this gentleman had equity, they do want some kind of an end zone on that, and that's legitimate. So let's talk about no term on the first, but on the second that we're creating for him, I'm going to put NA. On the second we're creating for him, which we'll talk about in a minute, how long do we say to him?
36 months.
Okay, 36. Now, we'll talk about all kinds of nuances that we can pivot to in the deal structure over time. This deal can go so many ways when you control it.
Right.
The debt, how much were we buying the home and leaving on the property in his name?
Yeah, the debt is 58,281.
58,281.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this debt is staying in the seller's name. His first name is Roger. It'll stay in his name. The bank just has that guarantee from him, not from us. We're making the payment on his behalf. When we close it, it'll just show up as existing financing in place instead of new money on the settlement statement. That's it. How much equity?
156,719.
Good for these guys to see this because it's a heavy equity position. So my brain's not going that fast. What's the purchase price here?
215.
215. Okay. This thing, we had comparables at what on this, just to give these guys an idea?
230 to 250.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me just say this, and I didn't say this to you guys this morning when we were talking. The benefits of sub 2 versus a sandwich, even though we love sandwiches, we've done hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds. We're closing a deal today with a payday 3 of $115,000, and that kept me up at night knowing what the taxes are on that because we didn't own it, we didn't depreciate it, there we go again. We didn't depreciate it, and we didn't have any capital improvements because if it's a lease, you only have maintenance during the term. So it just literally kept me up on why we need to do more sub 2s and more owner financing. How much do we put this on the market for? Because I know as we speaketh, we have a buyer we're working to wrap up.
Yes, 249.9.
249.9. Okay. Again, we'll go into nuances on the buyer and the seller in the deal structure over time. Let's use this buyer, Cami and Greg, that we think we're going to put in the house, and very conservatively, and let's talk about that payday one, because we could fluff this. I always like to give reality and conservative. So what's the payday one looking like so far?
3%, 74.97.
74.97, and because he's a VA, Cami, chime in if I'm wrong. Because he's a VA, we're gonna give him like a year to maybe cash out, but we know reality is he's gonna take longer, and we'll add down payment later. But let's just go with this conservative number. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay, cool. Monthly payment that we're paying on Rogers underlying 58,281.
Yeah, 1,497.
Now that appears high, and you guys are gonna see why in a minute. The payment from the buyer.
The payment from the buyer is going to be 1862.
Okay, what's that spread?
$365.
365. Now, caveat, we're going to show you numbers for a 36 month. When we get to the deal structure over time, you're going to see how this deal might cash out, but it might go 5, 10, 20 years. That might be a mind blower for some of you. It's a concept we call wealth stacking, and we are going to show you that this coming week at the QLS Live event. I know it's last minute, but it's virtual. So you buy a ticket, you show up online Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the 15th through the 17th, and you're going to see for the first time us doing wealth stacking live. We've only done it with High Six Associates privately. So go to QLSlive.com to get your ticket. Okay, based on 36 months then, guys, what are we talking about for the spread here for payday 2?
13,140.
13,140. So we got a payday 1 of 7,500 bucks, and then 13. All right. What's the premium markup? Well, just so I don't have to do the math.
34.9.
34.9. Principal pay down on this underlying 1497, which would be key here.
So it's $653 a month. At 36 months is $23,508.
23,508 principal pay down if it only goes 36. Look, this gentleman could reach out in month 9 or 11 and cash this out, guys. So you can do the math here and play around this. But like I said, we could also go 5, 10, or 20. I've had both happen. I've had people call and surprise the daylight hours and say, hey, I found a bank locally and I'm cashing you out. It happens. Okay, so let's subtract the payday 1. Actually, let me comment on this. Usually on payday 1, we add the first month's payment, but in this case, we're coming close to when we told the seller we would close it, because we did give him a definitive date, didn't we?
We did.
We did.
Yeah. So we're going to close, just so everybody has context, because they're going to be watching this mid-September. We told the seller a couple months ago we'd close September 15th, guys. Is that what we said?
We did, but it actually has been pushed to October.
Oh, geez. Okay, even better. So we are going to pick up the first month probably, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
All right. So we're going to get this extra 1862 for the month of September. Possibly, it might be prorated if we have a few days that we can't get them in there yet. We're working on this buyer right now. So we actually picked up an extra. Can someone do that calculation? I can just say roughly $9,000.
Yeah, right there.
92.
92.
9,200. So I just threw your math off, but we'll add that towards the end, because when we close it, let's just say October 1 or whenever it is, we'll likely make the October payment. Am I tracking with you?
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct.
Okay. Now, in the deal structure overtime, we're going to tell you guys how we did this. We actually partnered on this deal, which is an opportunity for anyone listening, viewing. And this was done through our other entity called Wicked Smart Finance, where Cami and Greg are partnering with Wicked Smart Finance. And the reason is, what's the down payment on this property again?
40 grand.
So out of his 156, we're paying 40 down, correct?
Correct.
40K down. So Cami and Greg could probably swing that between some private money and or other deals, but why stress the business out? So they came and partnered with Wicked Smart Finance, and then they just keep going and do their deals. So it's a cool option you can have. We're going to talk about more of that at QLS Live as well. All right, so your payday 3 looks like what, guys?
50,911.
50,911 plus we added the 92, or did you already do that?
We already added the 92, so the
I mean the
total-
1862, sorry.
Yeah,
Yep, we
yeah, we
did.
did.
You did
total-
that while we were talking. That's
we
impressive.
did
We did it before.
Okay, good. Okay, so 50 grand. So not a crusher deal, but what kills me is we'll be on the weekly mastermind calls and like Mike McCready's last week did. He said, oh, you know, I got this payday one. It kind of stinks, 15 grand. This is a good deal at 50 grand. Could be a little less if they cash it early, but could be a lot more. That's only payday 3. What do we do when we add these together?
73,410.
Okay, so back to kind of the average that fits for the community, which is a low of 45. I think we had one last week. Somebody hit 30. That's probably the new low. But the highs are reaching 250 to 300,000 now, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
All right, let's see. What didn't I ask you? I do want to know the motivation for selling from the seller, not detailed. Just what was the primary motivation before we had all the conversations that we'll talk about in the overtime?
Yeah, the primary motivation is they're trying to sell because he actually has a business in Phoenix and they wanted to move down there.
See, this I asked Greg because most people would say if they get 156 grand equity, why don't they just like lower it a little bit, or you know, why do they have to deal with you? How'd you convince them? We'll talk about this on the deal structure overtime. Head over to smartrealestatecoachacademy.com and fire up this episode of deal structure. Cami and Greg, thank you again for being on, and congrats, and we'll see you on the overtime.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.